Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of Net Builders XL. And today we have a very special guest, Ariaan, and he is going to explain to you what he can do for you, how he can do it, and how he can stop you from having to deal with crazy listings for your property. And I'll let him go into it.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me, first of all, and I'm excited to be on here. Yeah, my name is Ariaan Cardenas, and I'm the founder of Cardenas Homestays. So, what we basically do is we are actually a short-term rental property management company, and we help people with their, extra spaces, whether that be a daylight basement. They might have a cabin that they use maybe like two times out of the whole year. So we could monetize those type of spaces. We help them, through short-term rentals. So Airbnb, is one of the biggest platforms. There's other ones out there, but we also, we do the whole management aspect of the short-term rental um, industry. So what we do is we basically, will help homeowners that might have that extra space and they're not really doing anything with it, or they just want to make extra income or anything like that, monetize it and just take advantage of it.
Gotcha, gotcha. Hey, that's actually a really interesting concept right there. Because I imagine there's a lot of people who just have homes. Hey, I'm gonna they buy a home and they're only there like 2 weeks out of the year. But
Yeah.
I imagine that there's a lot of people. What's their return on income typically on while using Cardenas homestays? Like how much do they usually make in that extra income?
Well, usually in the short-term rental industry, it's about 1.5 to 3 times the amount that you would get compared to what's a long-term, renter. That's usually the average that we see. We just started our company last year. We started it right when the pandemic hit, so we kind of had to like rethink how we were going to do things because at first there was a big impact in the travel industry,
Mhm.
but now it's actually bouncing back up really, like just big time now, and there's a lot of demand that's going to be opening up, and there's going to be a lot of traveling, so it's a really good opportunity to get in, and there could be really good returns depending on a couple things, location wise, the type of property it is, and just that type of stuff where we actually could do like a more in-depth analysis to kind of give you an idea of where that property stands in terms of revenue and things like that.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. What got you into this? I'm just curious. Like, what got you into this? Did you go to real estate school and just say, "Hey, let's do this"? I mean, was this initially something that you thought a business idea that you had for a while, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I was actually going to Western Washington University in in Bellingham,
Uh-huh.
and I always had some type of interest for real estate. I just didn't really know what it was. And I was going to school there, but I've always been more like a entrepreneur, I would say, where I've always wanted to create something or just do something on my own rather than kind of just take that route where, you go to school, get a job and just kind of do that thing. I realized when I was at school that I was questioning myself. I would always ask myself why I was sitting in class, and I realized I didn't want to do that, but I wanted to do something in real estate. And I did a lot of research in the with the sharing economy. So how there's Uber now, there's platforms that bring together people. They're platforms that they don't own certain things like Uber, but they allow people to get on that platform and make a living and things like that. So I started looking into Airbnb, and I realized that there was a space for that. And I ended up meeting someone here locally that became a mentor, and I just explored it more. The sharing economy and short-term rentals, and I realized how cool how cool that space was, and how diverse it was, and how much you could do with it. And I just really like dove deep into it, and that's how I kind of got started. So, as a college student, that I actually dropped out. I'm 22 years old, but I realized that that was something that I really liked doing, but it was more of a like exploration thing. It's not something that I knew exactly I wanted to do right then and there. If that makes sense.
Oh no, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And hey, being a college dropout, you know how many of our greatest minds dropped out of college and
Yeah.
went to do amazing things. I mean, I love the fact that you were sitting in class and you did something that um the most successful entrepreneurs have done. You ask the question, why?
Yeah.
Why am I in class? And right there, when you ask that first why, I think that sparks something that from there forth, you're gonna ask why, because that's essentially what an entrepreneur is. Why is this like that? Why is that like that? And then it turns into hows. How can I
Exactly.
make this work? You know? So I think that that's amazing. I think that that's amazing. How tough has the road been getting this fixed, getting this, done? What obstacles did you run into?
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty difficult, especially starting on my own. I did have a mentor, which helped me a lot, because they obviously like they help you avoid a lot of different mistakes, but just the workload of just being, the one in control and putting on many different hats it's been tough. But it's kind of where, like you said, you have to figure out how, right? And I started really trying to connect with people and try to put my foot in the game. So I contacted, like local property management companies that are doing long term and try to work out something with them. And I was just trying to explore different routes. But it was pretty difficult just because of being the only person having to juggle everything.
Mm,
And that's something where I want to start building a team. But as of now, pretty as a small company, uh, I'm still trying to, just figure things out and then from there start building up a team.
gotcha. Um, Typically for a team, what would you look for? I mean, this is this your business is so unique that it's I can't ask typical questions to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm actually just really intrigued about everything that you're doing right now. So I have a million questions in my head
Yeah.
right now. And I'm sure our viewers are like, holy crap, what an idea, you know? But for how do you staff for this? Like what would like your perfect staff look like?
Right. So, at scale, I would say, because right now when it's, I have one property and we're looking to add a couple here, like 3 or 4 here soon. So we're in Snohomish and King County, but basically the staff that I would be looking for is like a cleaning team, because a cleaning team, like a crew, is really key to this business because they're really the eyes, at your properties, that you're managing. They're the ones that are cleaning, making sure everything's okay. Because, especially nowadays with COVID,
Mm,
cleanliness is basically the luxury of today. So making sure everything's clean and making sure the cleaners are making sure that they're not missing things, and just making sure that there's no issues, because they're the ones that are going to be looking at the property and cleaning it, and they might come up and they might see an issue. So they would be the ones that contact us, and then we would go ahead and take control of that. So just having a really good cleaning team is really key, because they're basically the eyes at our properties. And then later on down the road, I would want to hire like a second manager, just takes care of like being on the ground and checking things out and making sure they're like communicating with the cleaners, and that way I can focus on scaling more and opening up different areas. But cleaning team is definitely one of the biggest ones. And then later down the road, having like that second manager that just takes control of the cleaning of the cleaners, and manages like calendars and all that type of stuff.
okay, okay. You're an anomaly, man. You're a rare individual. You're 22.
Yes.
I have yet to bump into a 22-year-old that thinks so far ahead, or that like you really have mindset wise, you really have it together, man. Like that's amazing.
Thank
That is amazing.
thank you.
Like what went into that? Did you have your family any entrepreneurship or anything?
You know, I yes, in a way. my dad, he's been probably the biggest influence, and the fact that he's just a hard worker. He's always had to work since he was a kid to support his family, from his background, which is a lot tougher. But he actually started, he would have his 9 to 5. He would work like overnight, and he would wake up and he would go like to garage sales or to pick up things, and then he would resell. And then he found a niche market where people were buying like reused stuff, and he would sell them. He would buy them cheap and just sell for a little bit more. So he just started doing like the flipping stuff, and that grew onto something pretty big, and he still does that. And I realized that, like, at first when he started doing that, I was kind of embarrassed of it, which is kind of sad now that I think about it, because I was like, man, I don't want anyone to see me, doing this. And then now I realize that that's kind of what like really like sparked something in me, because now I even do side hustles like that, and I'm like, man, like you could really make decent money just by doing this, but people think it's goofy, or people don't really, it's kind of like a thing where you'll probably look kind of dumb if you're doing it. But I realize that it's not even about that.
Yeah.
People just don't want to, it's just like all opinions, and they're scared of what people are going to say. But I'm like, you know what, now I'm like, I don't care. Like, I know what I'm doing. And like, if you actually really focus and do those type of things, like you could actually make good money. And from there, I just started thinking of like more business ideas. I started reading books, which is a thing I never really did. Books are a huge thing. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all that type of stuff. Gary Vee, just all those speakers. And I really got like indulged in all that stuff. And like, it just really, really changed my mindset, opened it up. And, I continue to do that. So that's why I feel like I've developed that type of mindset.
That is amazing. That is amazing, because this will be the only time that I ever say this, but I'm 35. I might edit that part out because yeah, I'm old. But 3 years ago is when, well, 4 years ago is when I really, really, truly started my entrepreneur journey. So I was around
Okay.
31.
Hmm.
And what you are doing right now took me until I was 31 to even start doing. Reading books. Rich Dad Poor Dad, I just read that book probably about 2 years ago. You're like
Yeah.
8 years ahead of me, man. So I think that that's amazing, because at the age of 22, I was still just happy I can get into a bar and use my
Yeah.
ID legally.
Right.
So I think that that's amazing that you're developing that your mindset at the age that you are. I mean, it probably doesn't mean much coming from me, but the path
Oh, I
that
really,
you're going,
man,
man, yeah, yeah,
I appreciate it, man.
the path that you're going, that is amazing. Like Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. What other books do you recommend for entrepreneurs that are looking to move the way that you move?
The Slight Edge
It's
is
like,
another one. I forget who the author is, but it's a really good one. It just kind of talks about like building the stepping stones of, take the daily habits. There's also the millionaire success habits. Dean Graziosi. I think those type of books are really important, because it just talks about like day to day things that you could be doing, and like it's just small little changes that don't seem like much,
mhm.
but they really make a difference once you like are consistent with it, and you're actually having a plan and you're executing. I think those books are really important for that. But there's a lot of like, if you want to get into like more technical stuff, there's like strategic books that you could go into if you're wanting to learn specific things, like let's say marketing, or if you want to learn how to like use your time better. There's Organize Tomorrow Today, which is a good one. So, there's a lot of books out there. And I mean, books really, I feel like, could really change your life and perspective on a lot of things. So definitely, I definitely recommend reading books now.
Definitely, definitely. And I always use the ABCs. I always used these are the things that have changed your life, especially as an entrepreneur and a small business owner. The ABCs is the associations, the people you associate with, the books you read, and the
Yeah.
conferences you attend. Um, how does that tie into you? I mean, associations, did you find yourself having to let go of past friends, or things like that. So you
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. That's a lot of like the videos you watch or just books in general. They talk about that. Obviously, like the people you surround yourself with is huge. It's basically what's going to build you up or bring you down. So yeah, definitely. I've basically, I would say I've kind of isolated myself more, and I don't really associate myself with certain people, just because it's not that I want to be, rude or anything like that. It's because I know what, with my perspective now, I know where I'm going to get myself into. Like I could read that type of stuff now. So I try to connect with people with like-minded individuals that are entrepreneurs or they have a goal in mind. And like, I like supporting their visions too. And just being able to talk about that type of stuff it's so refreshing, because it's hard to find, I feel like sometimes. But you just have these amazing conversations and you learn from each other. And that's the type of stuff I look for. So yeah, I mean, I've been more of like in a path where I've isolated myself and kind of just got to learn who I really am, and just focus on myself, because I feel like to be able to give a lot of value and be a person of value, and I think you need to like work on yourself a little bit and build yourself up. And with that, you're going to be able to do the same for others. You're going to be able to help others as well. So I think just being in a good state of mind and just really knowing yourself really helps the people around you as well.
definitely, definitely. That's actually very well said. Very well said. And it's a common trait or characteristic they say of the geniuses of our day. They're introverts. And
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of people see it as, hey, these guys are stuck up or whatever, but at the end of the day, like you said, what your dad was doing, people or you said at first, you thought it was weird or whatever, but
yeah,
at the time you didn't know what you know now. You know what I mean? But the
yep.
thing is 90% of the world is like that, but they will do nothing to change their mindset. So
Hmm.
that's most of the reason why we're introverts, is because the rest of the world's not going to understand what you're doing. But
Exactly.
but 5 years later, you have a Bill Gates, and it's like, man, that guy was weird. He was always by himself, this and that. Oh my gosh, that's the kid we used to shun in school.
Yeah, exactly.
you know?
Hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, that's the thing there. I mean, it is a characteristic, I think. So so do you and your father talk now about entrepreneurism? Like, I mean, does he do you guys ever have conversations about?
Yeah, I mean, I think at first, like when I first uh dropped out of school, there was a pretty hard thing for my parents, just because they've raised me, and we're from Mexico, so they try to give you that opportunity to be, to have a better future. And I think it's just so engraved in our society where school is the road to success, but
Mm.
there's so many other paths that you could take that people just don't really see it anymore. But that's why my parents had a hard time, you know from me dropping out of school. But yeah, me and my dad talk about that, sometimes, where we want to do some projects in here in Mexico, just maybe get some rentals going and things like that. And we do talk about that, but it's not something where it's like on the daily basis. But there has been conversations about that.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. And you did say that, like, that traditional road that people think you have to take all of the time. Um, it's unfortunate that it's such just a normal approach. It's
Yeah,
the American dream. Go to school, uh, student loans, hope you can retire, um, work a 9 to 5, build somebody else's dream for them.
yeah,
And that is just, if you're not doing that to the rest of the world, you're shunned to get out of here.
uh,
I
yeah,
think that's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What kind of maybe I should word this. What would you say to somebody that you were talking to, that you were very close to, and you wanted them to start to think outside of that box? Like, how would that conversation go for you?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, that's thinking. I would say just one big thing would be remind them, well, not remind them, but just kind of talk to them about regret, you know, because I feel like a lot of people, once it's their time to go, it's sometimes they just have this massive regret, but like you can't do anything about it anymore. So I
Mm,
would start with, that some a conversation along that line where like, we're all gonna die. It's this life isn't gonna last forever, but I would just say, man, like you might as well do something that you really like. At least try to explore it, and so you don't have that regret. Like just kind of remind them of like, you know, we have one life, and at the end of the day, you want to be happy, right? So I feel like regret is just a thing that will be like definitely in the conversation, because I feel like that's a lot of I feel like that's what a lot of people go through, honestly. Because they do have that 9 to 5, but they really actually like something else, but they never tried it. So just regret, I think, is the scariest thing. Well, in my opinion, but just kind of remind them of that.
definitely. I like that. I like that a lot. And that's, you're right. Fear is, that probably is honestly the main factor of why people don't go into business for themselves. Fear. Um,
Yeah.
did you experience that when you first came up with the idea? Like,
To be honest, yeah, in a way, it was kind of. I did have a lot of analysis paralysis, where I would like think about it way too much, and like you're not really pulling the trigger, you're just overthinking about it. But like you're never gonna know until you actually try something, right? So like that's why I was like, you know what, I just have to pull the trigger on this. And yeah, but it is scary because it's unknown, and people don't like the unknown. I
yeah,
think
no,
that's the
you're
thing.
right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're
Yeah.
definitely right. What made you pull the trigger? What was that moment where you just said, you know what? Stop thinking. Boom, go.
Oh yeah. uh the fact of me just living like the typical life, I just kept reimagining it in my head. And I think it was one day at school where I was like, man, I'm literally just gonna be stuck at an office and just not building my dream. When in the back of my head, I knew I wanted to do something else, and I'm like, that. I mean, I have to do it. Like, I want to represent my family. I want to like show people, like my community, the Hispanic community, that like there's not one path, man. Like you could really do what you want. And I think that was the moment I was like, I can't keep questioning myself here in this classroom. I need to just do what I want to do. And whatever, if I fail, then I fail. If I fail, then I actually learned something. So at least I'm trying. So I think it's about experimenting and figuring out what you like and what you don't like. And especially my age, in your 20s, I think that's a big thing too, because a lot of people just kind of go with the flow and just kind of go with what society tells them to do, but they don't really get the chance to explore it. And I think your 20s is all about that.
Mhm.
You could fail, you have time to fail, you have time to screw up. So I think that's where I was like, man, I might as well do it now.
I love that. I love that because, like you said, in your 20s is your time to, have those. You still have time to bounce back. But most guys that are 20 years old, they're having their failures in different areas, not in entrepreneurism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's usually less savory failures, but I love the fact how your mind is thinking. Like, yeah, yeah, you're just a different kind of guy. A different kind of guy. I like it. I like it. I like it. A lot of people say entrepreneurs are crazy, but it's a good crazy. It's a
It
good
is
crazy.
definitely.
So what's next? What's next for you?
Yeah, so for me, what's next is I just really want to focus on growing this Cardenas Homestays, and it's all about really helping those people, homeowners and investors, with extra spaces, and just really genuinely helping them, and meeting their goals, because I think that's what it's about. It's about helping people solve their problems. So I want to be able to scale this business and help as much people as I can, here in Snohomish and King County, and just start building a really, you know, uh, awesome team around it. And I
We
think
need
that's
you down here in
what,
Pierce County too.
yeah, I actually might. I'm looking into a house in Pierce County by. I don't know if you heard of Browns Point before. By
Yes.
well, it's a waterfront property, and I have contact with this person, so we might be actually looking to do that as well. It's a really nice house, so you
Outstanding.
know, maybe Pierce County. So I think it's a possibility as well.
Outstanding. I love it. I love it. Can you tell our viewers how they can get in touch with you?
Yes. So if you go to our socials, Facebook and Instagram, you could go at Cardenas Homestays, and our website is cardenashomestays.com. And you can find you'll find a informational little video there. We'll basically explain what we do, and you could even book a call if you have any questions for maybe a space that you may have, and we could go in more depth about a little bit more analysis, or if you have any questions about the short-term rental world, then we could definitely help with that.
Outstanding, man. Hey, I appreciate you being here with us today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your insights. I mean, it's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and hope to keep seeing your videos.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All
Thank you.
righty.
As long as we got great entrepreneurs like you out there, the show's never gonna stop.
For sure, man. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in. And we'll see you next time.
All righty. Bye bye.
Right.
Your space has the potential to give you more than just extra income. But the ever-changing world has made it challenging for you to reach your financial goals. Life can be expensive, and maybe you've already tried the long-term tenant approach. That's why you'll like Cardenas Homestays. Our unique short-term rental management approach will give you the potential to make more, worry less, all with the flexibility you were looking for. First, we get your space listed on Airbnb. We make sure to set the right rates and optimize your listing to fill your calendar. As your front desk, we handle all inquiries and bookings for each guest so that you don't have to. We will even have a local team come in after each guest to clean and monitor your space so that it's always sparkling. Essentially, we bring guests to your space for a great stay, and in return, they help you reach your goals. Cardenas Homestays, a space that gives more.
Hey, this is RJ Stewart, host and owner of Net Builders, the only network for entrepreneurs worldwide. Listen, if you're blowing a bunch of money trying to advertise and get your brand out there, stop it. Click the link below, fill out the form. We'll see about getting you on our next episode of Net Builders, where you can get exposure to the whole world and get your name and brand out there without spending a dollar. We do this nonprofit, we do this volunteer, and we're just doing our best to try to help entrepreneurs like you worldwide to get your brand exposed out there. So fill out the link below, we'll have a conversation, and hopefully we see you in the next episode. Later.